Art.
Welcome to Houston, and we are getting you set for an Elite 8 matchup, the first one of this year's NCAA tournament between the 5-seed BYU and number 3 Kentucky. Hi there again, everyone. Along with Mike Abelson, I'm Alex Perlman. So glad to have you along. And Mike, this is an excellent matchup. You got BYU, who shoots the lights out from 3 against Kentucky, one of the best backcourts in the entire country.
I will be shocked if this is anything but a classic basketball game. As they say in boxing, styles make fights. These teams seem perfectly countered to each other. The big question here today for Kentucky will be, can their stars stay on the court? Not a deep rotation. If guys get into foul trouble, you give Toulson, Hawes, players like that a chance to shoot, Kentucky's going home.
60th NCAA tournament appearance for the Wildcats, by far the most all-time. Their 38th Elite 8, second straight 8th under John Calipari in his 11 years, and the starting 5 here for both teams. Look out for TJ Hawes, 14 points per game, member of the first team All-West Coast Conference. Nick Richards to tip it away with Dalton Nixon, and the tip is won by Nixon and BYU, and the Cougars have the ball to start things off.
You know, we talk so much about the shooters for BYU, but you got a guy like Yo-Lee Childs. You see him right there on the low block calling for it, 23 in blue. Hey, gets a rebound, lucky me. They need him and guys like Dalton Nixon to really produce on the inside because the shooters can only do so much.
First rebound for Kentucky goes to E.J. Montgomery, coming off of an outstanding performance. 20 points and 18 rebounds in the win over number 7 Illinois in the Sweet 16. And Mike, I don't think we have to say too much about that one. College basketball fans around the country know, with Ayo Dosunmu and Kofi Cockburn on the bench at the end of that game, there was nothing that the Fighting Illini could do, and Kentucky certainly took advantage.
We were both here in the stadium. The Illini fan base was incensed, claiming every bit of wrongdoing, including some laws that haven't been on the books in centuries. I mean, it was a very strange game for the Illini, but again, that's how it goes. And here today, Kentucky, the beneficiary of it, now they have to deal with an upstart BYU team that has already defeated the 1 seed in this region.
Jake Toulson from 3 to get things going for BYU, shooting 42% from beyond the arc. That is the best mark, not in the WCC, not out west, in the entire United States this year.
Yeah, Toulson is excellent, the senior from Gilbert, Arizona. I mean, just a tremendous ball player. Very keen sense of when to shoot it. Not just that he can, but he knows when.
Cougars just narrowly avoided the 12-5 upset against Stephen F. Austin in the first round. Then they beat Vermont in the second and upset Kansas, one of the 4-1 seeds in the Sweet 16, 82-73. First effort goes for Tyrese Maxey, coming off of a 24-point performance against Illinois. The freshman, a member of the All-SEC second team.
I mean, Maxey's going to really bring it in a big way. He's playing in his home state. He's got family. He's got friends. He's got people who think they're his friends here. And he's going to want to produce in a big way for them tonight.
I would imagine he's got a lot of friends still here in the state of Texas.
Oh, I would share that he does, but I'm sure anyone that has ever been in a room with Tyrese Maxey now considers themselves a dear, dear friend of his.
I think they'd want to hold on tight as well. Maxey's projected to potentially be a lottery pick. Said he would enter the NBA draft when the run for the Wildcats is over, and he rips down the rebound off of the BYU miss.
Only one team is going to win 3 more games, and I'm sure that Maxey has his sights on being the team that is last left standing in Atlanta.
And if Kentucky can stay out of foul trouble, Mike, they've got as good a shot as any team left here in the tournament of taking it home.
Yeah, again, that X factor is foul trouble. You have guys like Montgomery and Richards. Keon Brooks is great off the bench. 0, 3, and 5. We don't need to say any more about them. But again, if they can't stay on the court, BYU's going to win this game.
Inside it goes, and what a great look. Easy points for Nick Richards to start things off for the big man out of Kingston, Jamaica.
I just want to admire that one. Just excellent technical basketball. Just smooth and easy.
Richards,
smooth and easy.
Career bests in points, rebounds, blocks, and field goal percentage. Sorry to cut you off there, Mike.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say something stupid. It's all right.
How is that different than any time else?
I mean, like, I'll say some smart things every once in a while. Trigonometry. Euclidean geometry. I mean, there's a lot out there that I know about, at least allegedly.
Yeah, and we'll learn plenty about John Tyler, I'm sure, as well, along the way.
Nah, he's old news. Maybe we'll talk about Jimmy Carter's crazy brother.
Nick Richards with charity stripe, a 75% free throw shooter, looking to give Kentucky a 3-point edge.
The Reddit Premium Free Throw Cam is brought to you by the all-new Mercury Mariner. You've got to put Mercury on your list.
And early on, Yoli Childs for the Cougars. First team All-WCC member, leading scorer and rebounder, 22 points, 9 rebounds per game, 2 early fouls, and that's something to look at as Colby Lee is forced to check in here at the get-go.
And there are definitely good bench bigs on this BYU team, Lee and Worthington, but Childs is so dynamic, especially on the offensive end, that losing him this early for who knows how long can really change this game early.
Emmanuel quickly from distance.
Look at that. Ask and ye shall receive. 7-point lead for the Wildcats. Of course, Alex, you know as well as I do, Hawes and Toulson will get theirs at some point.
There's absolutely no question. Leading BYU to one of their best seasons ever is Toulson right there, up to 5 points. Just as you said.
Just the fourth Elite Eight.
The Cougars.
Just the fourth Elite Eight for BYU.
Cougars 27-8 this year, finished 13-3 in the WCC, but this is really the Cougars' season. If they don't win it this year, I'm not sure when they will. They're starting 5 made up of 4 seniors and 1 junior, and then you throw in Zach Sellius, who we usually see coming off the bench every game. He is another senior as he pours it in from distance right there.
Yeah, we keep talking about 5 and 30, but number 2 in blue can get his as well. And just like that, 5 quick for the Cougars.
Sellius, the senior from Bountiful, Utah, who I think that name goes up with any in the entire country, is one of the better town names. Hawes, look out! Sellius is going to the free throw line after Maxey made sure that the alley-oop was dismissed.
Yeah, Tyrese was not feeling like winding up on a poster today. Hey, take a look at the Kentucky Wildcat back there. What's he swatting at? What's he doing?
I think he's just reaching for air. I think that he's got some sort of internal music going on. That's a dance move of some kind.
Was he doing the birdie? Is that still a thing?
Well, now he's trying to get the Kentucky fans into it. I mean, it's a big stadium, Mike. This is a football stadium, so, you got to really make sure you can get as much crowd noise as possible to try to make it feel smaller.
Yeah, remember, the court aligned in the end zone here, not at center.
And so Lee picks up that foul there. And so free throws now coming up for E.J. Montgomery. He declared for the draft last year, but decided to come back. I'm not sure after his sophomore season he is going to make the same decision. If he says he's going, I think it's a professional future for him.
Yeah, and also with Calipari, if he thinks his players can make a good living for themselves and support their families, he pushes them to go. He's not selfish and telling them to come back. He wants them to go make that money because you only have a select few years to be a pro ball player.
Coach Cal, the reigning SEC Coach of the Year, first ballot Naismith Basketball Hall of Famer. He is one of the preeminent names in college coaching, no question, and he continues to just get his teams to this point. Again, 8 Elite Eights now under John Calipari in 11 years.
Has taken 3 different schools of the Final Four.
There's Jake Toulson from distance.
Calipari, without question, one of the greatest X's and O's coaches of all time. we can talk about his methods all day. You look back through his history, but in terms of developing players and putting together winning basketball teams, there may not be any better.
And his one-and-done philosophy has certainly been derided over the years. Maybe less now there, as Maxey puts that in, talk about a one-and-done player. But, you know, Duke and Coach K are doing the same thing. You look at the top schools, that's what's happening. He really started it, and he took a lot of flack at the beginning, Mike, but you can't say anything negative about how he treats his players and how he wants them to get to that next level and prepares them for just that.
Yeah, you know, he's not sitting there telling players, hey, come back one more year. What happens if they blow a knee? He wants them to go and get theirs.
Number 2.
Talk about getting theirs. Zach Seljaas, who has had a hot start for the Cougars.
Just such a pretty layup, you know, there's something about someone just floating through the air. It's like an art piece.
And Seljaas,
you know, like more like Picasso. It's like an art piece.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Seljaas only averaging 6.6 points per game. Not a huge score for this team, but he was the one that led BYU to that upset over top seed Kansas. How about 28 points and 3 from beyond the arc as Nick Richards up to 6 points. BYU with the ball, trailing the number 3 seeded Kentucky Wildcats by 1, and picked off by Kentucky going back the other way. We have not heard much from Ashton Hagans. He's got the ball right now. Has had 14 assists in back-to-back games in the wins over Illinois, as well as before that.
Based on my math, that's almost $3 worth of dimes. So he could go get a couple cheeseburgers at McDonald's on the ride home tonight.
Richards wanted it. Instead, Hagans passes it up to Montgomery for an easy deuce.
Again, this is why it's so important for those Kentucky bigs to not get in foul trouble. You know, it forces BYU to stay honest defensively instead of overloading on the jump shooters.
Are you surprised at this point, though? TJ Haws is not on the scoreboard, but BYU sticking right with Kentucky early on. That 3 goes down for Seljaas.
We start fresh.
So Seljaas, who has been scorching from beyond the arc, Haws gives it up, right back in the hands of the point guard out of Alpine, Utah in his senior season. Almost 6 assists per game. Dalton Nixon now. BYU under first-year head coach Mark Pope has already taken them to a fantastic start to his coaching career in Provo. That one just off the mark, but this is an extra special one for him, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, you know, Mark is a Kentucky guy. And, you know, I'm sure that not only would he love to win this game for his Cougars, but at the same time also, you know, there's a little special something about beating your alma mater and maybe potentially, you know, get his name in the hat down the road if Calipari ever once he chooses to step down.
Offensive rebound, put back miss though by Richards. Mark Pope won a national championship with the Wildcats back in 1996. Bit short that time, but the offensive board down to Toulson and swatted away by Richards.
Did he hit this with his elbow?
I think maybe the bottom of his head.
Goodness. The spring that these guys have. Richards still clapping. He better get in on that play.
I mean, Richards, one of the best defensive players in the SEC, member of the all-defensive team, and he averaged 2 blocks per game. What is that pass? To an open Seljaas for cash 3. Oh, what a pass!
I mean, sometimes you do something so gargantuanly stupid that it is the most brilliant thing you've ever done. I think TJ Haws just did that.
If they don't end up converting on that 3, I think he's getting pulled by Mark Pope right away.
I think his scholarship is getting pulled.
Well, luckily he's a senior, so we don't have to worry about that.
It's the principle of the matter.
No,
it's
I'm
the
100%
principle of the thing,
with
Alex.
you there. Dish it down low, and it's good with the foul.
AJ Wright is an official apparel sponsor for the Reddit virtual tournament. AJ Wright, the right way to shop and save.
Toulson already into double figures.
Where's your favorite place to shop?
Oh, well, we have to narrow that down a little bit, don't you think?
You take it however you want. You are conducting the train.
Ooh, favorite place to shop? You're putting me on the spot here. Actually, you know what? I pretty much get everything from Amazon at this point. I'm sad to say, but it's just so easy. I'm a sellout.
The rainforest, nice. I like going to Wegmans and BJ's.
You see, I don't have
Those are grocery
Wegmans
stores
around me, unfortunately. I go to C-Town, which is the aisles are basically big enough for one person to walk through, and that's literally it. You have to shimmy to the side in order for someone to pass you.
That doesn't sound pleasant.
That's what happens when you live in Manhattan. Maxey off the mark. 6-point lead for the Cougars with the ball.
Suburbs.
Fake from Celius. Turn around, right back in the hands of Hawes. Open look off the mark. Second try, yes, for Colby Lee, who has his first bucket.
It's important to note, remember, BYU doing all this good work on the inside without Yoli Childs. I think he sat, 3 minutes into this game?
Yeah, he got it with about 16 and a half minutes was when he picked up his second foul. That bucket will help by Nick Richards, but it's still a 6-point advantage for the Wildcats. But remember, Mike, we have seen this game in and game out in the tournament for Kentucky. They were down 46-41 to Illinois at half. What do? They come out and outscore the Illini 57-33 in the second. They're not used, or they are used to, I should say, deficits heading into halftime.
Yeah, they did the same thing to Iowa in the second round.
Hawes, no. Crowd starting to get into it. The fire it up chant for the first time.
I love that chant.
I hope you love it, because you're going to hear it plenty throughout the rest of the tournament.
I mean, I wish there was another chant, but I do like that one.
Higgins, look at inside. Richards got away from everybody.
God, where's Colby Lee on the help? He just got completely undressed underneath, and Richards was just standing there for a layup.
Tip in for Lee.
Oh, I guess he heard me, put me in my place.
He got you on the other end.
Yeah, that's why I'm sitting here and he's standing there.
Well, hopefully for BYU, he's going to do a little bit more than stand throughout the rest of this game.
Well, so going forward, just a sophomore. They're going to need him to produce in the coming years.
Richards missed the bunny. Second effort good.
What a weird game so far.
It really has been strange, and I think for Kentucky, getting Richards off to this great start could be monumental for their chances of moving on to the Final Four, because remember, Richards got to 16 points in the win over Illinois, Mike, but he got most of those late, and a lot of that was with DeSumo and Coburn both on the bench.
Oh, God.
Hawes swatted by Higgins. Guard on guard crime that time, and Maxey makes him pay.
I mean, no whistle there as he was trying to draw a cheap one. No discount, but he gets the bucket. Just a deuce separates these two.
Back to basket. Nixon back out to Celius. Finally missed from beyond the arc, and it's in the hands of Richards. Kentucky has been to 4 Final Fours under John Calipari, and we are tied with Richards doing most of the work so far for BBN.
Just, big man's eating good. I would say having a hungry man, but those things they suck.
Hawes once again off the mark. but luckily his teammate is right there, and Lee is going to the free throw line.
Get a delightful bite at Cubby's Cafe in Provo. Sandwiches, salads, and more. Get them all at Cubby's Cafe.
What are Provo's like
what's
this
your
time of
go-to
year? It's
sandwich?
probably nice. My go-to is an Italian
yeah.
Italian combo, I would say. That's really one of my favorites.
I'm a chicken salad guy. It gets no love. Chicken salad gets no love at all.
I love chicken salad, actually. That actually might be my second favorite. But you asked what's your favorite. So I gave you my favorite.
Awesome. I like an Italian too.
Richards gets the maxi miss, and a reset now for Hagans and Kentucky, down by just 2. 6:30 to go before the break. Elite Eight here in Houston. Montgomery with a fall away in and out. Here's Celius once again. Quickly back in position. Into the corner it goes. Not this time. Kentucky can tie or take the lead here on this possession. The SEC champions. Just destroying BYU on the boards. And Montgomery will go to the charity stripe for 2. Nixon with his first.
Shooting 2.
Gordon Ramsay is traveling the globe looking for the world's greatest restaurants. Watch Gordon taste his way across the planet only on Impractical Jokers, tomorrow only on True TV.
You know, I knew when you started that Impractical Jokers were going to have some part.
You're a smart one. You're on to me.
Sometimes I can be perceptive, but it's not often.
I do like Gordon Ramsay. I do like the Impractical Jokers. But it'll be an interesting episode, I can say that for sure.
Sounds like can't miss TV. Dial it up from 3. Toulson, who has been quiet recently, back on the scoreboard.
Utah can't miss when BYU needs a big shot. Jake Toulson is the man, with a plan, with 3 points.
He's up to 14. Celius has 13, and that is basically all the scoring right now for BYU. Threes are going down for the Cougars, and they're getting a lot of great looks inside for Kentucky. Right inside the three-point line, Maxey, but, you know, that's kind of what we expected here, Mike. We knew that one team would have an advantage outside, and one would be able to feast in the paint, and that is what we're seeing right now.
Of course, the great question, which I think we're not going to get answered until the second half is, you know, I brought it up once or twice, what happens when Childs comes back?
This is actually incredible, the fact that BYU has a 1-point lead when Childs has played 3.5 minutes. Fancy footwork by Maxey, right back out to Hagans, who still has not scored. Averages 11.5 points per game. Around the arc it goes, miss on the 3, Montgomery can't put it back. Lee has given them some great minutes here, Mike, as well. You know, we're talking about with Childs on the bench, as Celius, a little too strong that time.
Just a little too strong, but, you know, it's interesting. You look at the BYU bench up top, it's completely full. Oh, huge 3 from Maxey. As you come down the other way, the Kentucky bench, just a bit barren. Not many guys left for this Wildcat team, but the ones they have, stepping up all across the court. Everyone who's played has left their mark, which I find interesting for Kentucky because I don't think they've substituted anyone in this game.
I think you're right. We have not seen Nate Sestina, Johnny Juzang, or Keon Brooks yet, and I guess they haven't really had to at this point with no foul trouble to speak of whatsoever. And that's got to be great news for John Calipari, but they're going to have to find some answer to stop Lee inside because he really has been their only post presence in this game.
Just a great offensive set. You draw Richards up to defend the guard. Maxey slides over, expecting a switch. No one goes back with Lee, wide open on the inside.
Hagans on Hawes. We were expecting this to be a huge matchup, and it has not really panned out that way. Long two, no. Maxey couldn't get it. Richards earns the trip.
Shooting 2.
Trying to untie us here. Richards, a 75% free throw shooter. Was 4 of 5 in the win against Illinois.
Substitution on the court.
I find it so interesting. I see Worthington. He just walks off the bench. I mean, did they change the rule this year for the tournament? You don't have to go to the table anymore. I feel like that could lead to some shady, fishy business.
I guess the officials just have to be a little more on top of it, huh?
I'm not even wearing my glasses.
We should probably put those on.
I need new ones anyway. I'll be fine.
Here's Hawes.
I can read the. No, go ahead.
Number 2.
That goes in for Toulson. Or check that, Toulson to Celius there. No, go back to what you were saying.
Oh, I was just going to make a point about my eyesight. I can see the stadium logo. It says NRG Stadium right there on the court.
Maxey, too short.
If you're Mark Pope, do you bring Childs back in this half, or do you ride it all the way to halftime?
Honestly, I don't think you need to at this point.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Especially when you're shooting so well from beyond the arc. That time it doesn't go as Maxey takes down his third board. I mean,
I'm surprised we haven't seen Sestina.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Is Richards, I mean, I guess they don't even need him at this point with Richards playing so well. There is Worthington, who shovels inside for an easy look to Celius. Finally, Mike, he gets a bucket inside the three-point line. Richards gets his own miss. How about a third try? Yes, sir.
Richard.
I mean, come on, guys. You have to find a way to get one of those rebounds. 3 offensive boards right there. Puts Kentucky back on top. Although that's also a testament to just how in the zone Nick Richards is today.
Is Richards going to drop somewhere around 40 when we're all said and done? Bank is not open for Hawes.
We'll just have to wait and see. We'll just have to wait and see what Nick's able to do.
And a chance now for Kentucky to go on a run here at the end of the first half. Higgins needs help. Trying to do it all himself. Loses it, but keeps his dribble at 19 to shoot. Looking for the screen from Montgomery, but nobody's moving. Out to Maxey, who gets a step.
Just a real bad possession. No flow, no rhythm, nothing.
The Wildcats looking to make their 18th all-time Final Four. Second ever. That'll help after Toulson misses, but the offensive rebound will not.
On the flip side, BYU looking to make their first ever Final Four. This being just their 4th Elite Eight after 1950, 51, and 81.
2 straight short out of Toulson's hands, but once again a reset coming out for the Cougars. Hawes into the hands of Toulson. Screen comes. Looking on the roll for Nixon. Instead, it's Hawes. Right back out to a wide open 3. Celius can't get it to go. Shot clock turned off. Kentucky can hold for the final one of the first half. Higgins needs help. Richards is calling for it in the right block. And still just a very stagnant Wildcats team right now. Maxey pump fake, top of the key. 6 to go in the half. Picked off by Toulson. 3 across the line. It goes on the way. Too strong, and the first half comes to a close. And what a half it was, Mike, with Kentucky leading BYU, looking to pull the upset by 2.
Hey, as I said at the top of the game, I would be shocked if this isn't an excellent basketball game. This is what we have. You look at BYU shooting just 35%. It feels like a lot more. But hey, they're right with it. 20 more left in this one.
We'll be back for the second half in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Here in the Red Virtual Tournament. "20 minutes down, 20 to go to decide who is going to the Final Four out of Houston, Kentucky or BYU. Alex Pearlman, Mike Abelson, right back with you here at Reliance Stadium. Glad you could make us a part of your evening as Nick Richards starts us off with a bang.
No jelly, all jam right there for Nick Richards. Wow.
Up to 22 points. What a game he is having, looking to take Kentucky back to the Final Four.
That dunk brought to you by Mountain Dew and Doritos, the original slam dunk combo.
And that is exactly what Mark Pope and BYU were looking for. Somehow the first bucket for TJ Haws.
It blows me away, although if you told Mark Pope Haws scores nothing in the first half and you're down 2, he would take it any day.
And how about Yoli Childs not being on the court? Mark Pope is looking with those 2 early fouls on his star post player to maybe give him a little bit more time and make sure that he doesn't get into any more foul trouble as well, with this being such a close game.
And Worthington's played real solid on the inside, so I guess, if it's not broken, may as well just roll with it for now.
Haws is heating up. The lead now just 2 for Kentucky, a minute and a half into the second. Wide open Maxey, triggers! Richards! 2 free throws to come.
Shooting 2.
The Reddit Premium Free Throw Cam in the second half is brought to you by Vault Cola. Vault, drinks like a soda, kicks like an energy drink.
Have you had any Vault today, Mike?
Today, no.
Ever?
I mean, if I say the truth, then our sponsor's probably not going to be happy with me.
So we'll leave it at it's something that you enjoy very much.
I'm not sure how much of the legal world you know, but there's a term called plausible deniability that I'm going to go by right now.
Worthington right back in the hands of Haws. BYU trailing by 4.
I like Fresca and Dr. Pepper. Those are my drinks.
Yeah, we've been over the Fresca thing, right? Grapefruit?
The Cadillac of sodas.
The Cadillac? Why is it not BMW or Mercedes or?
Because it's classic, it's elegant, it's refreshing.
You make a strong case.
It's Fresca.
Back to Hagans, who has 7 assists so far. That's half of the total that he's been able to get in the last 2 games. Richards again! Get out of here, says Worthington.
God, that ball was barely out of Richards' hands. What anticipation by the big man in blue.
Selya stripped.
I think he may have just dropped it. Just strange.
Looking to add on to the advantage. And a bad foul right there. Maxey was in no position. Would have had to make a circus shot in order to get 2 for Kentucky. Take one more look at this one.
Hey, but he does get to the line for 2. For more than 20 years, Malone's has been the premier steakhouse in Lexington. With the choicest cuts and a relaxing atmosphere, Malone's is the place for the best steak in the Bluegrass State.
And I can tell you from experience, there are some really good places for steak in the Bluegrass State.
I mean, at the end of the day, you know, a good steak needs TLC, and the best steakhouses provide that.
You need that, but it's also you got to get a great cut.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's part of the TLC through the whole process. You have to care about what you're actually giving to your customers. You also need to be aware of what type of cut you're getting, just like Hawes needs to be more aware of where the midline is. And, you know, a good steak can come in numerous different ways. Whether it's a ribeye, a porterhouse, a T-bone, there's lots of different ways to find a good cut of steak.
Could not agree more. 6-point lead now for Kentucky with Maxey spinning in the lane. Right back over to Richards. He tries it down in the paint. Pump fake and 2 more for the Wildcats. And now Kentucky out to an 8-point advantage.
Richards now has more than half of Kentucky's points. God, again.
Wow.
How? The line doesn't move.
This time it's Celius with the giveaway for BYU, and things are turning ugly for the team out of Provo. They're doing all of this, Mike. Higgins hasn't scored yet.
I completely forgot Ashton Higgins was even playing in this game.
He shoveled it to Maxey, gets it right back after Celius tips it away, and into the hands of Quickly. Too short on the triple. Quickly only has 3 points, and he's their leading scorer with 16 on the year per game. He's the SEC Player of the Year. In and out for Celius. Worthington. Got it.
I will say, I think now is the time. Next whistle, you gotta start thinking of bringing Childs back in.
I'm shocked that he's not yet. Higgins. One more? No, but maybe his first point's now coming up from the free throw line as Hawes creates the contact, his first, third on the team here in the second half.
I don't got an ad read here, but help me and my fiance settle something. Are teal and turquoise the same color?
I'd say they're similar.
Okay.
I'd have to do a little further research.
I say they're different. She said... Okay. I'm sure the fine folks in chat will have an opinion about this one.
One more try. Who thinks that teal is the same as turquoise, and who thinks that teal is different than turquoise?
I think that they're basically the same color. She thinks that they're different colors, and teal is a darker, far darker shade, as Celius goes up for a bucket, versus turquoise, which is a much lighter shade. Turquoise is also, I think, one of the monthly gemstones. I believe it is... October's opal. It's one of them, I think. No, it's not. It's not. Aquamarine is March. Opal is October. I'm all mixed up right now. Nice bucket by Richards.
Yeah, quickly missed. Richards put it right back in. And so just to put a bow on this conversation, I'm going with your fiance.
Okay, I'll tell her. She'll be quite pleased. She's a good one.
You know, when in doubt.
When in doubt, pinky out. When in doubt, give the ball to Nick Richards.
That has been the MO for Kentucky. He missed on the free throw, but the Wildcats have opened up a 9-point lead now here against BYU. Celius, great feed by Hawes, his 5th assist of the game.
Look at this, it sneaks back door, and Maxey defended it perfectly. He just it's a perfectly placed ball.
Celius in his senior year is just playing outside his mind in this tournament. Again, a game-high 28 points in the upset of top seed Kansas last time out. And now he's up to 19 already.
And hey, look at that, his 4th rebound, so he's producing on both ends of the court.
And maybe even more surprising and impressive, BYU was able to beat Kansas, and they shot 25% from 3. It's like when they don't hit threes, it's tough to win, but you're able to beat Udoka Azubuike and the Jayhawks, and you only shoot 6 of 24 from beyond the arc?
Yeah, you know, they forced Abaji into having a bad game, and that was kind of the X factor.
Montgomery's been quiet recently. Right back into Quickly's hands, and he is off the mark. surprising shooting performance so far by Emmanuel Quickly, who usually puts in 43% from beyond the arc.
It's a strange game from a lot of players today. Very strange game.
This kind of seems to me, Mike, like the quintessential survive and advance. I mean, if you win, you get to a Final Four. It doesn't have to be pretty. And right now, Kentucky is doing more than enough.
Yeah, they're maintaining that 6 to 9 point lead right now. And again, it's just one game. In a best of 7, I think this would be a really fun series. But in this tournament, in 14 minutes, you got to come out ahead. That's the only difference.
Hawes, right back in the hands of Celius. Threw it off of someone, now right back to Celius. It goes! And he draws Maxey in the air for 2 free throws. Just Maxey's second, and only the first on Kentucky. That's been a huge reason that the Wildcats are up big in this game, is because they haven't gotten into foul trouble.
Yeah, and the guys are just feeling the flow. At this point in the season, everyone's dialed in and everyone's tired. They're feeling the flow. They're vibing with this game. As we say that, here comes Yoli Childs in for Worthington. But this Kentucky team just feeling it right now. Big change has just occurred, though, so we shall see.
Doing the bull dance, feeling the flow. Childs is going to be needed down the stretch for the Cougars. There's no doubt about it. And it's just incredible to me that Mark Pope has kept him on the bench throughout the first 6.5 minutes just about of the second. He's only played 3.5 minutes in this game total.
Well, you would expect him to be incredibly fresh.
And that'll go over the backboard after the miss by Quickly. The 5th SEC Player of the Year under John Calipari already. Made a huge jump from freshman to sophomore year, and a huge reason that he is declared for the NBA draft.
And the time is right for him. Go get it.
That'll go for Hawes. Actually, I'm not 100% sure if Quickly has, but I would imagine he will if he is not already. And I would think that there's a great chance that John Calipari loses his entire starting 5. We know Higgins and Maxey are gone. Montgomery's already tried it. Richards, I'm sure, is going out as well.
As we talk about Quickly he gets 2 points there. I believe that would be, the second time he's lost his whole 5 in the same year.
I mean, there are a lot of guys that can step in. Again, another great class coming in. But you also lose Nate Sestina and Johnny Juzang. It's like really the entire team is gone except for Keon Brooks, who already said he is coming back for his sophomore season.
Such an interesting way to be a fan in Kentucky, because so much of it is attachment to the jersey, because the roster just turns over so quickly there. It is a testament, though, to John's ability to snag the top players in the country.
Substitution on the court.
Yoli Childs makes the free throw. A couple of substitutions now here for Coach Cal. Finally, we see Nate Sestina coming into the game for the first time. You saw him on the right side of your screen, as well as Johnny Juzang trying to get a little bit of rest to some of his biggest stars.
I mean, the thing, though, also is the talent level doesn't drop off all that much with these two.
Juzang just said he is going to UCLA to play the rest of his college career at this point. He is from Los Angeles, so not a huge surprise there, but made a huge impact at the end of the season for Kentucky. Wildcats ball, 4-point lead. A little more than 12 minutes remaining here in the Elite Eight. Higgins, no. Kentucky has not been great from beyond the arc in this game and still leading by 4.
Yeah, there's been a lot of bad shooting, but the shots are falling when they have to for the Wildcats just to keep them ahead.
Just inside the arc, Toulson in and out. Toulson came over from Utah Valley. Played there his sophomore and junior season when Mark Pope was the head coach, and he has showed that he can be great against some of the best teams in the entire country there as Nate Sestina gets his first bucket. Double team comes, and it causes a backcourt violation on Hawes. That's the third of this half on the Cougars.
Substitution on the court.
Just, of all the players in this entire tournament, he's probably the last one you would expect to get caught in that trap multiple times in the game.
And so a huge opportunity now for Kentucky. Buried by Quickly. Right back in the hands of Toulson. Not this time. Second effort, good. Dalton Nixon, the senior out of Orem, Utah, with his first bucket of the game. Montgomery swatted away. There's Childs on the defensive end.
But now the Cougars have to find a way to convert. They get the big stop. They haven't been able to get that big bucket to really turn momentum.
Yes, and a foul for Hawes.
Third team foul.
He makes this, it's a one-possession game. It's hard to discern the Big Blue Nation in the crowd and the BYU fans, but you feel the energy turning.
Toulson off of the missed free throw. 2-point game.
Buckle up, people. 5-point harness, strap yourself in. Here we go.
Just about midway through the second, we have ourselves a ball game once again, and we'll see if Kentucky can take advantage here with some of its stars on the bench. That certainly helps. There's Johnny Juzang for three.
As I said a few minutes ago, the talent level doesn't drop off with Kentucky's bench, and when they needed it the most, Johnny gives it to him.
Hawes dribbled into a double team, now gets it right back out to Alex Barcelo, the Arizona transfer. His first run so far in this game. Now Hawes, who has 9 second half points already. Hawes, 6 to shoot. Screen comes from Barcelo. Hawes has to hoist, and he hits!
I don't have any words for what TJ Hawes is doing offensively in this half after being a complete non-factor in the opening 20.
Well, you knew that he wasn't going to go scoreless in this game. He was going to have to heat up at some point.
Yes, but still, just the way he's been doing it has been so theatrical, so amazing for the Cougars here in the final 20.
Picked off by BYU. 2 more for the Cougars. Hawes up to 14.
Take a look at the steal, part of the State Farm drive of the game. No confusing that one with Jake from State Farm. Nice and easy.
Hawes decidedly not wearing khakis at the moment.
Substitution.
No, I don't think he will be at all the rest of today.
John Calipari has seen enough. Did get good minutes from Sestina and Juzang. But the starting 5 back out on the floor with 9:19 remaining and a tie game at 67. Barcelo commits the infraction there. Transferred from Arizona over the summer. Got a waiver to play right away and was such a huge part of this team. Shot 48% from beyond the arc. Put up 9 points a game. Hagens now. Midway through the shot clock. Richards, swatted by Child, gets it back and puts it through.
That is 30 points for Nick Richards. I think, didn't you make a comment earlier about he's on pace for 40? I think he just may get that.
It'll be close. Richards tips it into the hands of Maxey for his third takeaway. Looking for a magic mark here on this possession. Montgomery double teamed to a wide open Maxey, and he's going to the free throw line. No, instead they say that Maxey stepped on the end line. Back to BYU it goes.
Calipari has to be fuming at that one right there.
BYU still more than in this game, even though Childs had to sit from the 16.5-minute mark in the first up until about the 13-minute mark in the second with 2 early fouls. And we are tied 69 apiece. What a nice game this has been.
69-69 is also a great song by Ninja Sex Party. You should absolutely check those boys out.
You're going to have to send me that link. Richards, couple pump fakes,
song.
In and out. BYU can get to 71 or 72 here on this possession. Wide open, Toulson fires away. Got it to go! The mark has been met, and now Kentucky down 3. BYU knows how to score it, averaging almost 80 points per game. That's 6 better than Kentucky, who you generally think of as a high-flying team.
I mean, still, getting the lead, giving it up, getting it again. You know that if there's any team in this tournament that's going to take this to the line, it's going to be the Wildcats. They know how to win games.
16-3 in the SEC, the best mark in the conference, won their 49th SEC title. 3 games over LSU and Auburn this year, as Nixon rips down the miss for BYU.
Great box out there on Montgomery. Montgomery was going in for the poster.
Toulson again!
Such a pretty jump shot. I mean, so many good shooters on this team. We've said enough adjectives about them. Toulson with 22 now. Cougars up half a dozen.
This is the best three-point shooting team in the country. Toulson is the second best three-point shooter in the country behind Stephon Davis of UC Davis. 6-point deficit for Kentucky. Richards gets the Hagens miss and makes BYU pay in the paint once again. He's up to 32.
You're going to have to feed him. He's been the guy who's gotten you here. He's going to be the guy that gets you out of this mess.
Barcelo, who's getting major minutes here in crunch time. Back in his hands in the corner. Hagen's arms outstretched. Still on him at the top of the key. 4-point lead for BYU in the hands of the point guard. And it's Toulson going to the free throw line as Maxey picks up his third.
Shooting 2.
Just a remarkable basketball game so far.
Toulson is an 80% free throw shooter. So he's now up to
This
23.
This YouTube Spotlight brought to you by Pan Am Airways, the world's most experienced airline. And today we're talking about Anthony Fantano and The Needle Drop, giving any and all music the best reviews in town. The Needle Drop, catch new music there.
So are we talking every type of genre there?
He will review everything, from gothic death metal to the hottest new, to Dua Lipa's new record, to bands with the names like Squid and Duck Sauce, who I both love. They're both fantastic. You can get anything there.
Duck Sauce, Barbra Streisand, big hit.
Yeah, the new one, Captain Duck's even better.
Oh, they have a new song coming out.
Oh, they have a whole new record dropping.
I didn't know they put on records. I thought they
Somebody
were
get the music
a
out somehow.
one-hit wonder there. Childs puts it in, and one more coming.
Child saving all of his biggest hits here for late in the game. Get to 5 points, but each one has been huge.
Yoli Childs, who was suspended the first 9 games of the year. Then he misses 2 weeks because of a finger injury in the middle of the season. Still goes on to be a first-team All-WCC member. What a career he has had, hoping that this is not the last time he takes the floor for BYU. Montgomery, offensive board. In and out on the layup. BYU can add to a 7-point lead with 4:55 remaining.
Also, Alex, this game, the second tournament matchup ever between these two. Kentucky beat BYU back in the first round in the '84 tournament down in Birmingham. Kentucky was a 1 seed. That team had Sam Bowie on it. An easy run-out win for the Wildcats. Different story here tonight in 2020.
Yeah, there's no question about that. But again, this is arguably the best BYU team in history. Certainly one of them to make the short list. Hawes at the end of the shot clock off the mark. This is now Hagans with his 5th rebound, trying to get into a 7-point deficit.
God, how different is this game? If he hits that, go up 10, totally changes the dynamic.
Hagans needs to find Richards at some point, instead gives it away. Hawes for 3. That would have been enormous, just like you alluded to, Mike.
Get it to Richards. He's been the guy who's been doing it for you today.
Calling for it on the block. Has position if Hagans wants to give it up, and now instead working off a screen from Montgomery. Shoots it himself. Not his shot. Montgomery puts it back over the shoulder with his back to the bucket.
That was a bad shot, but hey, there's no style points here. It went in.
Substitution on the court.
Another
That's all that
one.
matters.
Another backcourt violation. No, actually, I think they got the substitutions in right before it went behind.
Yeah, they just got the timeout in time. Goodness gracious.
Cutting it a little close there, don't you think?
Just a bit.
Toulson!
Defensive foul. That's his 4th
All right,
personal foul.
so 2 free throws coming up, and maybe
Situation.
even more importantly, Tyrese Maxey has his 4th.
Substitution on the court.
So Toulson checks out.
Will be interesting
and
to see.
Celius now is going to shoot the free throws.
Will be interesting to see what happens with Calipari here. Does he leave Maxey in?
Substitution on the court.
And another sub as well from Mark Pope in BYU. Celius at the
Trevin
20-point
Nell
mark.
getting his first action.
Substitution on the court.
Well, that was quick. Thank you, Trevin, and we'll thank you for your service, and
So long.
we'll get our guy back in there, Alex Barcelo.
Yep, so long, and thanks for all the fish, Trevin.
Hagans was open in the corner. Nobody saw him, though. Now he's got it once again, down by 7. Richards off of the roll. Pump fake, and too short. Got it off of the bottom of the rim, it looked like, for Kentucky.
Yeah, it looks like he was moving laterally instead of attacking the rim.
One more. Rebound, Child. Second effort. No.
Great effort at the cup by Childs with Maxey. Massive rebound. Cats need a bucket.
I'll tell you, Kentucky is getting away with some big mistakes here at the end of the second half. Can they finally put one in the offensive end? Maxey, couple of spins, and a lefty lay-in.
It says he has 18 points. That feels so quiet for Tyrese Maxey.
And he had 24 in the win over Illinois.
Defensive foul. That's his 3rd.
And free throws now for Childs.
Remember, Maxey playing with 4 right now.
BYU has never been to a Final Four, looking to knock off one of the most storied programs, if not the most in NCAA history, the Kentucky Wildcats.
Trevin's back.
Let's see how long this breather lasts for. Richards has 32 points and 16 boards. Kentucky can't come back and win this game against BYU. It's not because of him. Hagans.
2 minutes remaining. 2 minutes.
He just continues to put up some terrible shots. But taken right away by Montgomery. in the hands of Maxey. Hagens once again. Got that one from the top of the key. That is more his shot.
Yeah, that is exactly what Ashton Hagens wants to do. Only 3 points. But again, they all count the same. And Trevor Nell comes in, turns the ball over once, and goes back to the bench.
BYU ball up 4. Minute 39 to go here in Houston. One of these teams will punch the first ticket of this tournament to the Final Four. $15 to shoot for Sellius, who has 21 points on the game. Quickly looking to take it away in the hands of Hawes. Buries it from the corner.
What did you say about him coming up big in the second half? 19 points for the senior from Alpine. From the mountaintop, he hit that shot. Cougars, they go to the Final Four.
Quickly, no. Montgomery, second try.
He stepped on the line.
Hawes with his third giveaway, and it is going back to Kentucky. Can make it a one-possession game. Hagens, under a minute to go now between Kentucky and BYU in the Elite Eight. Maxey. Looking for some help. It's into Quickly's hands. Got it for 3! 2-point game.
What a triple for Quickly. What a feed from Tyrese Maxey. I feel sorry for the guy who said BYU was absolutely going to the Final Four a minute ago. God, what a bad early take that was. This game is far from over.
Yeah, we are not quite there yet, Mike. I wonder who that was.
Yeah, it was the other guy. I don't trust the other guy.
Enormous free throws now for Nell. He got the first.
God, Trevor Nell could be the one here to give BYU those magic points.
This would make it a 2-possession game. No! Rebounded Childs, and they have to foul.
Wow. 1-1 though here for Childs. So, I mean, this is still not out of the woods yet. He still has to find a way to get one.
And he does. Only a 54% free throw shooter can now put BYU up 5 with a make.
Substitution in the court.
BYU looking to pull its second straight upset. They toppled the Kansas Jayhawks already. Trying to take down Kentucky in back-to-back games. No for Maxey, and that might just do it for the Cougars.
Quickly picks up the foul. 2 shots here for Nixon. If he hits these, party in Provo tonight. This will be a 7-point game. There's 6. What a run by this Cougars team. History. We're seeing it live right now, Alex.
I would think it would be a relatively tame party in Provo tonight, but a party nonetheless, as Nixon has one more to come here, and he makes it.
Substitution on the court.
Everyone will be home by 11. I'll say this, as the rest of the Elite Eight rolls on tonight, we're hopping in the teleporter. We will see you in Charlotte a little later tonight. Baylor and Seton Hall. Stick around for that. All the Elite Eight action. 4 games tonight as part of the Reddit virtual tournament.
Montgomery got the miss from Quickly and keeps Kentucky alive, albeit for a moment. Foul comes from Quickly, and Hawes is going to the free throw line. He shoots 76%.
1 plus the penalty. 2 shots.
Double bonus for BYU.
Substitution in the court.
Well, you know, if the Cougars were able to sustain their offense in the second half, they quelled Kentucky's just enough.
Substitution in the
And the Cougars are going to the Final Four. An absolutely remarkable performance by BYU.
And it's a whole team performance in this one, no less.
Kentucky goes begging from the three-point arc once again. John Calipari livid on the sideline, and the Cougar fans smell it, they taste it, they sense it. Hawes, just to put a bow on this one, a 94-point performance by BYU.
Again, we talked about at the top what can happen if these shooters get going. And that's what happened. Hawes with a second half for the ages for this Cougars team. As we wind this one out, that got BYU to the Final Four.
Kentucky is going to have to retool in the offseason because the season ends here. Coach Calipari might be losing his entire starting five. It is very possible. BYU, the run with all those seniors, 4 of them in the starting lineup alone, trying to get the first national championship in program history. And one more free throw to come now for Nixon. What a special night in Houston.
That is just an inbound. What a special season it's been for this Cougars team.
And you thought potentially knocking off Gonzaga, the number 2 team in the country, on senior night was going to be the highlight of the year. Not so fast.
Well, Gonzaga's still in the field. They have their Elite 8 game later tonight.
Off the mark on the heave, and the ball game is over. For the first time in program history, BYU is going to the Final Four.
Zach Celius, no one else could have been the player of the game. Just a top-to-bottom excellent performance. But Hawes, Worthington, Nell, Childs, everyone contributed in some small part for this Cougar team. What a game.
The season is over for Big Blue Nation and John Calipari. BYU moving on to the Final Four after a 10-point W over the Wildcats. What a fun one that was to bring you, and so glad you could join us here in Houston with Mike Abelson. I'm Alex Perlman saying so long, and we'll see you in just a few minutes for our second game of the night here at the Reddit Virtual Tournament.